Hey, all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, January 17th, and this is episode 201 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the freshly faced Maven from Vegas. I forgot to write something new. I had to come up with that on the top of my head.
It's obvious. Hey guys, Avi Ale here. How you doing?
I'm good, Avi. I hope you are well too. Thank you for being here as always, Avi. Wasn't sure if you were going to make it. We had to count on those flights being in on time. Had to count on you waking up and not missing your flight.
Right.
Got back from Vegas today.
Yeah, I did. Hey, I did a really good job and I didn't sleep well, but I took a nap. So if I sound a little hoarse, I am a bit tired, but I'm here, guys. I'm here.
As long as you don't look a little hoarse.
Oh, and see, everybody's saying only 3 more episodes until we get to my 200th episode, since I have missed episodes.
And from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to all of you, dear listeners. You all were so amazing last week with calling in and sharing your favorite moments for our 200th episode. We appreciate you all so much. You were all so kind with the subs and bits as well. That really helps us be able to add to the show.
And now you have to suffer through all of the names.
And hopefully produce even better ones for a long time to come. And as Avi just mentioned, there's a little bit more to shout out this week than usual, but I want to make sure to thank each and every one of you that subbed last week.
You guys are amazing, by the way. Last week's episode was my favorite we've done so far. Like, that was so heartwarming and so sweet and so just incredible. And now it's been kind of fun because now when I meet people who haven't heard the podcast yet, it's like I can say, oh, you should listen to our 200th episode, because it literally is just like a culmination of everything we've done, and you can get like an idea of that. And I just thought that was really kind of cool. I don't know, and I loved it. I tried not to cry a lot.
Yes. So thank you all. We have a Wongle Laughmo, first time sub. We have Viel, Icarus059, Agro Small, all first time subs via gift subs from Shintir. So thank you so much for that, Shin.
Yeah, thank you.
Cookie Persona, 2 months. And Naderade 19, 2 months. Caters 2 months. Asa Meshame 3 months. Crow 623 3 months. DRTV Dakota 3 months. Ian Show via Chili for 4 months. Really Bad Professor 4 months. Cater Pants Adlin for 5 months. Chance M5 Scott Matrix I Am Carlini. Awesome Austin 6 months. That's half a year, Avi. Agitated Salamander, Voxna 7, 8 months, Mocha Jones via Chili, and Bread Hater for 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
Susan Sprinkle via Shintir again for 10 months. Jessa 10 months. Ace Kaneki Overlord and Mog Moxie both hitting that 1 year mark.
Woohoo! You get your mentor crown on your poop.
And that was a tier 2 from Ace Kaneki. And going back to Agitated Salamander, that was a tier 3 sub. So thank you so much for that.
You get my face.
And Hyper Pixie Gaming, 15 months, and Venjek, one of the OGs. I think Venjek is on that sub wall behind us for 17 months.
They are.
And there's another one from Zero Uno. Thank you so much for those subs. It was really awesome having many of you.
So many
of you.
Ass.
The heart wants what the heart wants. So many of you. Just like
Please somebody clip that. Please somebody clip that.
Just like I said, I wanted to eat them all at the end of the last show.
Oh, somebody, Ian said, I thought you said so moany. So moany.
Awesome having so many of you live for the show last week as well. If you can't sub but want to support the show, geez, I'm messing up all the words today. We'd love if you just tell a friend that plays the game about the show. We do it here live every week over at twitch.tv/SheHealsITank, and love when we have a lot of people joining us live. We like to see your comments about what we're talking about. It really does add to the show. We could do it by ourselves, but you guys make it better. It's going to be hard to beat how fun episode 200 was, Avi, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Oh, it's not going to be. I'm too tired, but I am here and I am like excited and very happy. I'm just like, hopefully still have a voice by the end of this.
We have a packed show tonight with lots of Final Fantasy XIV news, patch 5.2 preview, a new event, Some cheaters got outed on Twitter, and Avi was at Vegas the last couple days for an ESO event. And even though that's a different game, we'll get her thoughts on that and see if there's anything she'd like to see Square Enix incorporate into FanFest. But as always, let's kick it off with everyone's favorite segment.
Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute.
So this Greenleaf Minute was found actually by Pete when he was looking through the daily Reddit questions, and he found someone asking, in regards to retainers, if my retainer is selling at Old Duh, can I find the stuff I'm selling at other cities, or only whoever views that market board? So I thought it would be a good idea for us to give you guys a little retainer refresher. So first of all, retainers are unlocked through the MSQ by completing the quest, The Scions of the Seventh Dawn. This is Realm Reborn. You get this one pretty quickly, actually.
It's like level 17.
Yes, very early on. And then once you get this quest, they kind of direct you to talk to a retainer vocate, and you can talk to any one of them in the main 3 cities, Ul'dah, Gridania, and Limsa Lominsa. You'll hire a retainer from them, and you get 2 retainers for free with your sub for the game, and you can actually rent additional retainers through the Mog Station. The reason we use the term rent is because it is a $2 a month fee for each additional retainer, and if you don't continue to pay, then you won't be able to access them or anything still on them. So that is kind of something that's annoying.
Yeah, if you have all your crafting supplies in there, and then you forget to renew your retainer, you don't have access to those crafting materials anymore.
And if you actually don't visit your retainers very often, items will be taken off the market board. So make sure that you go and talk to them periodically, because they get lonely. And if they get lonely, they go, you know what? I'm not going to sell your stuff anymore. And so make sure you keep your retainers happy. All right. Retainers actually serve multiple functions. You heard Sherby talking about selling. We'll go more into that. First of all, they function as your bank or chest storage unit, or whatever you really want to call it in this game. It's a place where you can keep all the things that you don't want in your character inventory, not counting the items in your glamour chest or in your brain, not company chest, or your
I was reading
armoire. Armoire. Pete's not helpful at all. In your armoire. So those are totally separate, which we've talked about before. You are also able to send them out on ventures, which is like a little mini adventure, and they can bring you a variety of items from crafting supplies, including like battle gear, glamour gear, housing items, minions, slugs. They like to bring you
lots of fish,
lots of slugs,
and lots of roofs.
Honestly, Retainer Ventures could be an entire Greenleaf segment on its own, so please look forward to it. The other thing is that you can only level up a retainer as high as you have leveled a class in the game. So you want to pick, so gatherers will be able to do certain ventures, but only to the level that you've leveled that class yourself. So it is something you want to kind of do in tandem. So if you do decide you want to have a Fisher retainer, but then you don't want to play Fisher, then that doesn't make sense. So you can change their jobs as well, and you can gear them too. The level of their gear also will affect the items, the quality of the items that they bring back from their ventures. It's definitely a fun little element to just kind of look in the different ventures you can get, and then you can even have them, like the gatherers, gather certain items for you. So it's pretty cool. And like I said, the Fisher retainer can actually bring back like minions that you can't get any other way.
Pretty much every type has minions that are specific to them. Fisher, botanist, battle class.
Yeah. So there's so if you are curious about that, be sure to Google like retainer minions, how to get them to bring those certain ones back. All right, so moving on from that, perhaps the most important retainer aspect is that they function as your ability to sell your goods on the market board. That's huge because that's how you make most of your gil in this game.
That's how you get rich.
Yes, and this is what ties us back to the original question. Your retainer will be in the city that you hire them from, like that's like their home base. And you can hire retainers in any combination of these cities. In fact, it is beneficial to have them at different locations. Regardless of where you hire a retainer, anyone looking at stuff on the market board from anywhere will be able to see your goods on the market board. You don't have to go to Ul'dah to see the retainers in Ul'dah. You can see them from any market board, but it will show you where that retainer is based out of. And the reason this is important is because this has effect on the cost of the in-game taxes associated with the purchase of an item. And occasionally, a certain city will offer reduced tax rates. You can actually go and talk to the retainer vocate in order to see which cities are currently having that reduced tax rate. Generally, you do get charged a 5% purchase price when you buy something off the market board. So if you sold something the seller gets charged the 5% tax, not the purchaser. So if you sell something for $100K, then you're going to receive $95K from that sell. If you list it in a city with reduced rates, then you won't get charged that 5%. You'll get charged whatever the reduced rate is.
I think they reduce it 5%, so I think you get the full amount that one.
So in addition to taxes, like for when you're selling items, when you're purchasing items, you actually may notice that you get a 5% fee at the market board. But this is different from the seller's tax. There is no reduced tax rate for buying. However, this is also a really important element with paying attention to what city they're in. You can avoid the 5% fee by teleporting to the city where the retainer is based out of and purchasing the item there. So if you're going to be buying like a really big ticket item, it might make sense for you to pay the teleportation fees and teleport there, because if you're buying a multi-million gil item, you can save. That's a lot. 5% is a lot. And if your teleport is, 500 gil, and I'm saving 5,000, which that's bad math, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense if you're just buying something for a couple hundred gil, because you're not going to save that in the teleportation costs.
Right. So yeah, so that is like a very, very basic overview of retainers and why you use them and how they work and why they're important and why you want to make sure to check in on them.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, Square Enix does a pretty good job of making sure nothing in this game is pay to win. But this is one aspect that I can kind of see how it is. It doesn't help you clear any content, but if one of your goals is to make as much gil as you can, it's definitely a lot easier to do with 8 retainers instead of the 2 free ones that you get.
Well, if you're really big into crafting, I think it makes a lot more sense for you to purchase the multiple retainers. I know that I pay the additional $2 for one more retainer, which I could probably downsize actually and get rid of that retainer now that we have the glamour dresser. Because before we had that, I honestly used one of my retainers for like storing glamour items, and that took up a lot of my storage space. So it's kind of great that they've added that.
I also do wish that we didn't have to rent them. I wish I could have bought it for like a one-time fee of $20 or something. Mm-hmm. And to me, spending $20 on a retainer is insane to me, but I would do it because I know I only buy 2 extra, and I'm at max capacity on all of them, but I refuse to do any higher than that.
You need to do some cleanup and like organize it, make sure.
Yeah, I've done that. I still run out.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that Greenleaf Minute, Avi. Mm-hmm. And because you did such a good job, we're going to move on to your favorite segment. It's the tweet of the week. It is the tweet of the week.
I hate that audio so much.
What audio? It's the tweet of the week. That one?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. This one comes from our good friend Hyper Pixie Gaming, who was in Las Vegas with Avi these last couple days, and she tweeted out a picture of the very first time that Avi and her met at the Las Vegas airport, and both have huge smiles on their faces as they're taking this picture.
So Pixie actually asked if this could be the tweet of the week. She totally did. She said, if you're on Twitter and you haven't seen this, we literally, I've never laughed and cried so hard at the same time from a person, I guess. It's usually kind of one or the other. And I was waiting for her outside her gate, and I was so nervous, excited that I had to keep walking around to keep myself from crying. And then when we finally saw each other, it was she was couldn't say anything, and then I hugged her, and then she was so tiny, and I was that's the first thing I said to her, because it was hugging her. I was oh my god, you're so tiny. So and then really we tried to videotape while we were running into each other, first meeting each other, but it literally is you see a hand, and then the view just goes out the window. And so then after this was when we stopped crying. And we weren't even trying to take a cute picture. It was literally just, we need to take a picture because we have to capture this. And I fully expected us to be like drag queen eye makeup, like just, it was not going to be a pretty photo. And then I saw it and I'm like, this is my favorite photo from the trip. Like it's so awesome. We're so happy. We're like glowing.
Looks so genuine.
Yeah, it really was. So it was really great. I had fun.
It looks like a really good time, and you both look very happy.
Yeah, I had, and you see it. My hair was exceptionally big in the photo, and I said I think that all the excitement was coming out of my hair.
Yeah, if you guys would have gone broke at the roulette table, you definitely could sell your hair for enough money to get home.
Okay, good to know.
All right, thank you for that, Avi.
It's the tweet of the week.
One more just because you love it so much.
I don't, though.
And now it's time for news and notes from around the realm, Avi. Just in time for the lull between patches. Moogle Treasure Trove, the hunt for Soldiery, is coming on Monday, January 20th at midnight. And I know Avi's going to be staying up that late just to participate in this event right away. That's going to be lasting until patch 5.2, which should be mid to late February. This is one of those events in which you get some irregular tomestones for running particular content. The tomestone for this event are called Irregular Tomestones of Soldiery. You'll be able to turn them in for lots of different rewards. The big new reward for this event is a Namazu neckerchief for 100 tomestones.
It is so not my style. I know some people are going to love this and collect the hell out of this.
I think like stuff like this is neat, but it's very hard to get like that type of item to look good on the glamour.
That's
like,
to me, it's not an item that you get for the glamour. It's an item that you get to collect all the things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we already have the Namazu bell. This has like the Namazu head on it. So I like the Namazu, but yeah, you don't really do unless it's just a joke glamour.
Right.
It's kind of cute, but I think it's hard to get that stuff to fit in well.
Yeah.
But if you already have a lot of the rewards, why not get it? It's the only real new thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is also the Magitech Predator identification key for 50 tomestones. That gives you the Magitech Predator mount, which is a drop from the Alamigo dungeon, which if you have luck like me, you haven't even seen it drop, let alone get a chance to roll for it.
I actually didn't even know there was a mount from that dungeon because I'd never seen it drop. I was like, what?
So this is something I'll be looking at getting. Personally, I want that more than the 100 tomestone neckerchief.
I would too if I was gonna go for either.
Other rewards at the 58 tomestone mark is the Warring Lantern Whistle, which is the Sephiroth bird mount, which really, that's so easy to unsync now, and the drop rate is so easy on those.
Yeah.
I would try to set up just like a party finder group for that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend 50 tomestones on it. And there are 4 Orchestrion rolls that are also 50 tomestones each, including the very popular Answers.
Wonderful.
So that one could be worth it because that one's hard to get.
Yeah.
Besides the Namazu neckerchief, the only pieces of glamour gear for this event are the Spotted Fedora and the Spotted Spencer for 30 tomestones each. The Spotted Spencer is like the spotted jacket that matches the fedora.
Yeah.
I think that was from Stormblood.
They've been around a bit. Yeah.
Also coming in at the 30 tomestone level are writing maps. So this is an alternative to spending allied seals on them. Writing maps increase your mount run speed in a Realm Reborn zones. And the remaining mounts are available from this event are a Realm Reborn Beast Tribe mounts and a couple of the Realm Reborn primal ponies.
Chili piped up in chat and said that the spotted coat and hat were from a special fate and they will be his.
I think I already have them actually. 30 tomestones each for those primal ponies, and the last thing at 30 tomestones is a MGP platinum card, which is worth 50,000 MGP. Seems kind of pricey because you can get 50,000 doing the fashion report each week, which is super easy.
So easy.
Only 2 minions are in the rewards list, a wind-up Kefka and the lesser panda at 7 tomestones each. Also a few more Orchestrion rolls at the 7 tomestone level. And so how are you going to get all these tomestones for all the rewards you want, Avi?
You're going to run shit.
You'll get 10 for running the Praetorium. Again, good to run if you're watching Netflix and just want to zone out and not really have to pay attention that much.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get 7 for running Castrum Meridianum. and Dun Sky. So Castrum you can run watching Netflix. Dun Sky, not so much. You actually still have to pay attention to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So run the MSQ on a job you're leveling, and you'll either end up with 7 or 10 tomestones to go along with that big EXP bonus. And I'm glad they made it a different 24-man raid this time. This will still probably be the fastest way, I'm guessing, but at least Dun Sky's more fun than Circus Tower. And content that gives 5 tomestones each are Weeping City of Makak, Arum Vale,
Clip that.
and Hidden
I'm just going to keep doing
Gorge.
that now because I want to capture all the ridiculousness of Makak. Do you hear it now? Do you hear it?
Yeah.
It's almost...
Makak.
It's like the disciples of hand jobs.
Mm-hmm. Avi, Hidden Gorge. Can you tell me what Hidden Gorge is?
I don't think we should talk about that on the podcast. I think that's inappropriate, even for us.
You don't know what Hidden Gorge is,
I
do
don't
you?
know. I don't.
Took me a minute to even remember. I knew it was PvP, but it took me a minute to remember what the actual name of that PvP type was. It's Rival Wings.
Oh,
That's
yeah, no.
like the MOBA style one with the mecha that you can ride in.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, that's still a thing.
I forgot.
Well,
Chuckletopia says, is Hidden Gorge where Makak happens?
that's where I store
But
Makak.
it's such a bad joke.
Then you can go around to her Arum Vale. Content that will give 3 tomestones are Void Ark, Sunken Temple of Karn, Cutter's Cry, Stone Vigil, and Desamel Darkhold.
Oh, and those are all easy. You can solo. Can you do them unsynced and get the
You
tomes?
do not get tomestones for doing them
I
unsynced.
couldn't remember. Okay.
I think this has actually a pretty good variety of content to do.
Does anyone else hear Decimal Darkhold though, and then just remember like spamming and spamming and spamming and spamming like to the first area and hoping you had a black mage just for that EXP? Like,
I did that for one level,
Oh,
and
man, I
like
did a
any
lot.
kind of mindless, boring, grindy thing, I got over it real quick.
Wait, well, if you were leveling your black mage, that was like the first time leveling it that you got to feel really badass. So like it was a short period of time where it was like really worth it for you to be a black mage and go in and just be like, all right, start. And you had like your preset group and doing it over and over again. I don't know. That's just like not old school, but older school Final Fantasy 14 stuff that like every time still I see Decimal Darkhold, like that is what I think of.
Yeah. So even though they gave us a good amount of content to do or a variety of content to do, if I know the player base, and I know the player base, they are going to find the quickest tomestones per minute piece of content to do.
Yeah, fully.
And then
Can you blame them?
just run the shit out of that.
This is a farming hardcore thing. Like it's hard to find time for that.
So, I think it'll be fun. It will keep us busy until 5.2.
Yeah.
And what do you got next for us, Avi?
Speaking of tomestones, the ones we're used to are now going to be getting some changes in patch 5.2. I honestly don't know if I actually need to read this to you guys because I feel like we've read this to you guys so many times. First of all, the Allegan tomestones of Mendacity and Genesis are going bye-bye. If you are still carrying any of these, be sure you exchange them for Poetics before patch 5.2 or you're gonna lose them all. There is a new tomestone that will be added, the Tomestone of Allegory. This will be the new top tier tomestones and tomestones of Phantasmagoria, which is still my favorite to say of the tomestones we've ever had.
Allegory doesn't sound as cool.
Not as cool as Phantasmagoria. Will be the second tier tomestone, and the weekly cap for that one will be going away. However, the hard cap of 2,000 will still be in place, so be sure that you spend them once you get close or at that 2,000 so you don't accidentally like miss out on tomestones. Tomestones of Gosha will no longer be able to be earned, and the content that gave them will now either give you Phantasmagoria or Allegory tomes. Anything bought with Gosha will be able to be obtained with either of those two tomes.
So this is pretty standard. They always do this at the beginning of the patch cycle. They always get rid of the old ones. And usually anything that you could buy with that is bought with Poetics afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Final Fantasy picked up some PlayStation awards, Avi. It looks like these were fan voted, and they gave out platinum, gold, silver, and bronze awards for each category.
Do you know how many categories there were total?
Nah, I didn't
I was just curious.
Didn't count.
Because this is really awesome that Final Fantasy XIV is being recognized by PlayStation. Like, I think that's super, super wonderful.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that it was a fan vote and enough fans on the console voted for it. Because there's, obviously a ton of console games.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that Final Fantasy XIV probably isn't like the highest selling console game.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely more on the PC. But they did take home some awards. Final Fantasy XIV took bronze in Best Art Direction, silver in Best Multiplayer, bronze in Best RPG, and platinum in Best Ongoing Game.
Woohoo!
And Square Enix, as a studio, took home silver for Studio of the Year. So,
Shelley
really
says, I am shocked. I tell you, shocked. Okay, not that shocked.
nice to see them getting some love from the console fans. Who knows? Maybe in like a year or two, they'll win something from the Xbox Awards or whatever they have.
That'd be amazing. So there is a callback campaign going on right now that started just yesterday. And this is actually different from other comeback campaigns that they've done, which is actually really kind of cool. So it does give some free days of playtime. But this particular callback campaign gives you, the active player, the opportunity to reach out to some of your old friends via your friends list and send a message to them to ask them to come back to Final Fantasy XIV. As long as their account has been inactive for at least 90 days, then you will be able to right-click their name on your friends list and select Invite Friend to Return. Then they will get an email saying that you would love it if they came back. If any of your friends that you sent an invite to decides to resub, then you will get some gold chocobo feathers that can be turned in for rewards like that badass Twitanya mount. The person returning will receive some silver chocobo feathers, which they can turn in to get some level appropriate gear to help them kind of catch up with everybody. They also get some Aetheryte tickets for those free teleportations and 7 days of free playtime. If you've reclaimed this in the past, from a previous campaign, however, you will not be getting those rewards a second time. So you can't just unsub, get rewards, unsub, get rewards.
Yeah.
They see you. So that's really exciting. I really do like the idea of being able to reach out to players who don't play anymore and say, hey, I wish you still played. And like, imagine if there's somebody like a whole bunch of you miss and they got like 30 emails from Square Enix, and those are individual people telling them how much they miss them. I think that could actually be really sweet. They like, it may be spammy, but it would also feel good.
Yeah, I don't think you can spam it. Like if you have a bunch of friends, they can't all ask you back. It's whoever sends it first.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, so basically everyone now is it's already done. Everybody knows it's already been asked because the people who go in there for those chocobo feathers has already done it. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Need to be quick.
Yeah.
Or just have a ton of friends. Okay, Abby. You have something good for me today for... Oh, my button didn't go off. Set that up perfectly.
It was so wonderful.
What do you got for me today?
All right.
What can I teach you?
So, Pete, what is the leading cause of death of the Namazu?
Shoot.
A. Namazu on Namazu indiscretions. B. Personal clumsiness. C. Illness is due to eating improperly handled food. D. Cooked over an open fire because Namazu are delicious.
In my head, I was thinking tea. Wasn't there a storyline of them like drinking a certain tea and like getting knocked out or something like that?
But that's not necessarily the one that kills the most of them.
Yeah. I'm going to go...
And actually, you guys, by the way, this answer is from the lore book, the encyclopedia. Like, it's... I saw this, I was like, that's kind of amazing.
So was it even in the game?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it has been.
It's not in the game. I win this one by default.
You have to go find it.
I'm going to guess... What was it, B? It was like casual, just clumsiness?
So we have Namazu on Namazu. Hate crimes, basically. Personal clumsiness, illness from eating improperly handled food, or cooked over an open fire because Namazu are delicious.
I feel like it's A or B. Like, they are pretty clumsy, and then they also do kind of treat each other like ass and like hit each other.
A lot, yeah.
I'm going to go with general clumsiness.
Actually, the answer is C. Illnesses from eating improperly handled food.
What are you doing, Namazu? Why are you eating all this food off the ground?
They like catch raw fish and then they just eat it. And I'm assuming they like let it sit out too long and they'll get parasites and illnesses, and that is
So
what
you're
kills most of them.
Eating your own?
Basically, yeah.
You deserve to die for
They're
that.
omnivores. Well, other sharks eat, other fish. They're not
But
fish.
do they eat other sharks?
Probably.
You don't know that.
I mean, if one of them was like injured, they'd be like, "Hey, you mine?"
Or they just go eat that school of fish.
Yeah, Namazu eat fish.
Or that surfer.
But I mean, they are. I like even chat that so I picked good answers. Chat's like, oh, I thought they were tasty, because there was like the potential if you've done the quest line for them. Like the whole thing is they're trying to avert a catastrophe that's going to end the entire Namazu line. It's not a spoiler because you don't know if they do it, and part of that is like the raw.
Spoiler alert: they all die from eating fish.
want to eat them because they're delicious, and so all of these things was really kind of a fun question to come up with because all of the answers all logically made sense. For Namazu.
I still think they're clumsy enough. More die from that.
They just seem to get like knocked out, and you have to help them.
All right, let's move on to some discussion, Avi. This could have been in the news, but I think it's more worthy of a longer discussion. The special site for patch 5.2 is up.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they preview what we are getting in the next patch. They usually tell us the content, give us a little blurb about it, and a couple pics to go along with it. But this time, all we got was a list of the content.
One picture.
And no blurb, no pics. I found it quite odd because they even had some pics of stuff during the last live letter, which was part 1 of the preview for patch 5.2.
Yeah.
No screenshots of the content, which we usually get. But we did get one piece of artwork for the patch to go along with the name of the patch. It's called Echoes of a Fallen Star. And they say mid-February. I was kind of guessing late February, so we'll see. So this picture is on a black background. We get a crystal, and in that crystal, we see what looks to be Dalamud at the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So could be Dalamud. Maybe it's something that's similar on a different world that maybe caused a calamity over there. We're playing with all these worlds now.
We've got echoes. It's basically something. It's like residual, like repetition of something that happened.
And it looks like it's exploding. Don't know. The bottom of the crystal is very blue, reminiscent of Heidelin, but you can't really tell what it is for sure. In the middle of the crystal, we see 3 figures going from left to right. The first figure looks to be Ardbert.
Yep.
The middle figure is an Asian, and I believe the glyph on its face is that of Elidibus.
Mm-hmm.
And the third figure, I'm not really sure who that is. I didn't know if it was supposed to be an emo warrior of light.
I think that's like, if this was a soap opera, it's like Ardbert's evil twin sort of thing. It's like the equivalent of like Dark Ardbert. Dark Bert.
I think it's emo Ardbert then.
But they do
He's
look
got
very
his
similar.
bangs just parted so you can see one eye
he's very
through
sultry.
there.
We got Bad Bert. I like that. I don't know. I gotta think of different names for him. Oh, thank you for that follow, Madam Aurora. Really appreciate that. So we did get like a list at the end of things we'll be getting to look forward to, but it's literally like a list with no descriptions.
As KK said in the chat, it's like they updated the outline instead of actually giving us like a picture and blurb on everything.
But even with the outline, we usually get like descriptions,
and then someone like accidentally hit the like post button.
Yeah, or like these are the text that was used to describe the image so that the SEO works well and you can find it, but instead we just get the text with no image. So that list includes main scenario quests, Eden's verse raids, Chronicles of a New Era, The Sorrow of Werlit, New Dungeon. How do we say this one? Anamnesis
Andir.
Anider. I don't know. A trial called Cinder Drift, Beast Tribe quest with the Qatari, Resistance weapon quest, which is the relic weapon quest, the Ishgardian restoration updates, a major crafting and gathering overhaul, deep ocean fishing, and new Game Plus updates. So they're actually all a bunch of things to be like excited for the changes and stuff. But
so I think we could both agree that our favorite piece of content that we're looking forward to off this list. You want to count to 3 and say it at the same time?
I know what you're gonna say.
1, 2, 3. Ocean fishing.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it at the same time?
Because I'm not excited for it at all. I'm not even gonna do it.
But you could have said your favorite.
Oh.
What are you looking forward to the most?
Main scenario quest.
Okay, I knew that was going to be your favorite one. Besides that, what are you looking forward to?
Mm, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what they do with the new Game Plus updates and how far back they go with the Realm Reborn.
I don't think that's what we're getting.
Right. That says I'm curious to see what they do with it because I am playing the new
I
Game
think
Plus.
it's just going to be like what we just got in 5.1.
And I'm also really curious to see what they decide to do with the relic weapon. Like what changes and what direction they take that.
Yeah, I hope it's a different type of system than Eureka was.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the old school
Open world.
Maybe doing some fates.
Yeah. I really hope it becomes more like world based. So I think there are things that I'm like, main scenario quest I know is going to be amazing. The other things like I'm like hopeful for, I guess I'd say hopeful for more than like excited about, because I don't want to get excited about it and then be let down. Because I try not to let myself do that. So I just like, I'm hopeful that they're going to be awesome.
So we are getting 2 primals with this one. The Chronicles of the New Era, the Sorrow of Wurlit, and the trial that they're just calling Cinder Drift.
Right.
From the last live letter, we know we are getting Ruby Weapon. That was the primal, right?
Yes.
But I don't know which one that is. I was assuming that it was the Sorrow of Wurlit, but apparently some people are thinking that that one's going to be the Cinder Drift one. So either way, we're getting one primal that we know, which is Ruby Weapon.
Which is Cinder Drift according to the mascot Chili Pepper.
And then we're going to get one primal that they have kept a secret. We do not know what that is yet. And I haven't seen Square Enix drop any hints for that yet.
I'm hopefully that one will be like tied to the main scenario quest then. Because usually if it's a secret, it's tied to the story.
I feel like they don't really do that anymore, though.
They did, though. And they had fights tied to MSQ and Shadowbringers. Innocence?
Yeah, but I guess, but you didn't need to like do it for, because usually we get an extreme primal version too. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I hope the restoration of Ishgard lasts longer. That's my biggest complaint with the restoration of Ishgard. I didn't mind the process in general.
Yeah.
I wasn't thrilled with the fate, but it is what it is. I don't know how you were ever going to make crafting exciting.
Right.
But yeah, and the crafting and gathering overhaul, they already did a pretty good overhaul of the crafting abilities. Maybe they'll do a little bit more with the gathering, and I think we're going to get the expert recipes finally, which hopefully you can't really macro and you actually have to pay attention to what you're crafting and all the goods and experts. And there's supposed to be new ones too that aren't like that. And of course, ocean fishing. Best piece of content ever.
I love that literally like all the stuff you just said. I'm like, have fun, Pete. That's not my stuff.
Lots of rides in the theme park for me this patch.
Yes. So many of you may have seen some GIFs circulating on Twitter this week. Pete was just kind of telling me about this, where it was part of an ultimate fight. And during parts of when the AoE damage was going out, they're not meant to have any ground markers for those attacks. The person was using a third-party program that displayed the AoE markers for them, like slightly even in advance. How did you feel about that, Pete?
It's cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple. This is a third-party program that the game did not intend.
Right.
And it's giving you an advantage over other players. And I know this isn't exactly a you versus me type game.
Right.
And honestly, if you were just doing this with your personal group, I'm not going to get all up in arms about this or anything like that, but it's cheating. Like if you're taking any sort of pride when you beat a fight after this by using that, I have no idea why you would have any of that pride.
Well, and the thing is that it's like, I guess you guys know, I mean, I've been playing a lot of ESO, you do like add-ons, and like adding something like that to the game is like totally part of the game experience. And in Final Fantasy, I think it's just that it's never been designed that way. And so I think maybe the person who's doing that is coming from another game where having the add-ons like that doesn't feel like cheating to them. It just feels like an element to the game. But because 14 doesn't allow the add-ons, do you view that, is that viewed as a cheat, or is that just viewed as another way to play the game? I think it is all about how you're going to approach what your mentality is in regards to the third-party add-on.
Yeah, and I saw a post on the official forums about this as well. Not from Square Enix, but someone bringing up the issue. And there seemed to be a lot of people that were kind of okay with it, equating it to how in the parser you can set up audio cues, like when a certain boss ability is going to be going off. And to be honest, I don't use those because I kind of view that as cheating as well. But I think that's not quite as big of an advantage as actually seeing the AoE that you're not supposed to be seeing on the ground.
Well, I mean, that's semantics at that point. Like, I think it's seriously just like, if you're okay with parsers, why are you not okay with, like, where do you draw the line? It's only a negative thing because the game doesn't support them. And so then the game makes it like, this is bad. Don't do this. We don't accept this. But in the MMO world, it's actually very, very common. But
it's not just add-on. It's like making a fight easier.
But that's what add-ons do. Like,
not necessarily.
Sometimes some add-ons make the world easier to navigate through. Add-ons make it easier to like in ESO. One of the add-ons I really like is there's no timer for your hotbar abilities, like your spells in ESO, like which 14 has. So by using an add-on that gives that timer and dings in my ear when I need to recast it again, is that cheating? Like it's definitely like perception based.
It's cheating. Okay. Since it's not like a competitive game, like saying something's cheating doesn't really hold that much weight because, like, what are you cheating about? Are you cheating to get a piece of gear? I don't know. But you can't feel good about it if you beat that way. Like, you can't say you challenged yourself. If you beat it that way, I wouldn't say you cleared Savage. I'm like, you didn't. You cleared something else because you knew all the abilities coming out.
I do think, like, so you and I kind of talked about it, and Shuckletopia just commented on it. I do think if you are one of the groups going for world first, I do think you would lose some respect of the gaming community if you use something like this, because then the competition is to beat it first. But at this point, like,
I think everyone should shun people that use this.
I don't think so, actually. I don't. But I'm not part of the, like, Savage raid world, so I don't think it's a shame thing. I just think it's, making the game easier for you to play.
Ringing that bell, shaming.
Well, like, what about people?
The whole point of Savage and Ultimate is hard content. Why would you want to make it easier?
Maybe it's too hard, and by using this add-on, it makes it more approachable for some people.
I don't know if Square Enix has a way of detecting this, but if they do, I think they need to ban anyone using it.
Chili said this is Ultimate, not Savage. Okay, so this is like above Savage. Okay.
One of the best things about Savage and Ultimate is the world first race that happens every time a new raid is released.
Yeah.
And I don't believe any of the world first teams would want to use this. They have pride and they want to be legitimate, but you never know. I'd like to think professional baseball players wouldn't use steroids or steal signs, and there's a whole big thing with stealing signs going on right now.
I have a question, Pete. I just had an idea. So, like, chat is just saying, I'm sorry, that they're saying, like, a lot of the Ultimate people do use the audio cues. So what if you play Final Fantasy XIV and you're deaf? And you want to do Ultimate content, but you can't hear callouts and you can't hear the audio cues. Would you consider someone using a visual marker cheating for someone who, like, that's the only assistance they can have when trying to clear content?
I would say it's still cheating because it's not what the devs intended. It wasn't intended how they want us to play the content. And I do think an audio cue, like...
Chili just says he has text cues.
Yeah. I don't like them. In my moral, I consider that cheating because really it has more to do with the world first race than just you trying to do it in your personal static.
The world first isn't, that's not happening. That's not happening right now. So
yeah, I know, but
so then, like, I don't think that argument is for such a short period of time, and I do think that if people used it during the that time period, like, yeah, that would be against everything the world first stands for. But I don't know. I think it's because, like, World of Warcraft, like, you had to have add-ons. ESO, you have to have add-ons, like, in my opinion, like, for both those games. You obviously don't, but it enriches the gamer experience. And for me, like, those markers would make the fights, like, I would be a better player with those markers because I am not good at, like, always being able to tell by the motion of the mob, because as a healer I'm looking at my party list and my players and then not at the mob. So then having that as a healer would be so helpful.
Yeah, but then it's not Ultimate or Savage anymore.
But I'm not going to do Ultimate or Savage. So what if having that made me do it?
but there'd be no reason because you can just do normal and be the same.
To you. No, it's still with that. It's harder than normal, but not as hard as, I don't know.
My whole thing is like, in those games, like it's encouraged for people to make add-ons and whatnot. Square Enix doesn't want you to do that. The parser itself is a 50-50 thing. I think Yoshi P accepts it because he would like to have a parser in game, but doesn't want people to shame people for their DPS. But for a fight, I think he actually wants people to be able to tell what their DPS is. If you were to ask him, does he want people to be seeing the AoE markers when they aren't supposed to be on the ground? I don't think Yoshi P would say he would be okay with people using that add-on.
So we have Chili on deck. Do you want to hear what Chili has to say?
Let's see what Chili has for us tonight.
Hey, Chili. How are you this evening?
How are you doing?
He is silent. Sorry, Chili.
Able to hear us, Chili?
No, I see him trying to talk, but can't hear him.
Let me
just
change something.
Try to talk when you can, Chili.
Able to hear us.
So I'm not actually talking about this to try to argue, and I also, even when Pete and I kind of talked about this before the podcast started, I actually didn't realize how not upset about it I am. I don't know. It just yeah. Oh, there you are, Chili.
There I am. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Chili, how are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you.
All right.
So what do you think?
Us? How am I wrong?
Well, about the audio cues, it depends on which one you use. Now, I don't have a major issue with it, especially if you've already learned the flight.
So you're talking audio cues, not the visual ones.
Yeah, visual. No, that's cheating. That
Right.
is pure cheating.
Okay.
Because ultimate mainly Savage, it's not as bad because there is still visual cues.
Mm-hmm.
But with ultimate, the whole point of it is to try and learn the dance and learn the fight. And yes,
without
it would
the
help
cues.
with people
Okay.
who can't do it, but at the same time, the whole point of ultimate is to be, the top tier, the best of the best.
That's fair.
That's why I've been doing it for like a month and a half, and I'm still only a minute and a half into the fight.
Really?
40 minutes.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I do think it's just, I feel like with the beginning of this, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more add-ons for Final Fantasy, because we have more WoW refugees playing the game who are used to being able to use add-ons for things, that there are going to be elements to the game that they want to be able to have. And I feel like this might just kind of be the beginning of that. And I think that's more what I'm trying to argue.
I think the difference is I'm pretty sure ESO gives out the API for people to make add-ons.
No, I get that. I get that. I'm not saying that Final Fantasy is going to be okay with it, but I mean, like, you see all the goodness, what are the things called where they make the boobs bigger and the hair longer?
The
and
mods.
The mods. Like,
mods,
yeah, they're honestly, you guys, by the way, mods have made me not enjoy taking screenshots as much anymore, because people just, the ones who get all the love are the ones who like go and change the look of the game. And then I don't know, I actually am realizing I really dislike
big titty cat girls.
I don't know, there's something about it. I'm like, ugh. I love glamour.
One difference about mods and this though is the mods really only affect your game.
Right. Well, but
visual-wise, you can only see it. While with this, it kind of, though it will only affect your game, it still affects your group.
It affects like the sharing of screenshots online to me, because I'm not the sort of person to put that level of effort and extra Photoshop into it to have a good screenshot. And I feel like now, like, it feels like a competition in a weird way to, like, if you're for your screenshot to look good at all, you like have to put that extra effort into it. And I don't like that it did that. Like, the game isn't good enough and I have to make it prettier outside of it. I don't like that. I guess. Sorry, I'm going off topic.
I use Reshade myself nowadays. So
Reshade's not as bad because that's just like a color tweak. But like when you're
and
going
if you've got an NVIDIA card, by the way, it's built in.
Right.
You can use it.
Like that's not like, completely changing the aesthetic of your character. I don't know. It's just something about it I'm realizing rubs me the wrong way.
But like, let's say you're trying to beat a very hard fight, and then all of a sudden you find out that someone in your group was cheating. Like, does that not lessen it for you at all?
Oh,
they're the one cheating, not me.
But wouldn't you be angry at them? Be like, hey, man, like, I wanted to clear this legitimately.
I would probably kick them if it was me.
I don't think I would care. But I don't do the kind of rating you guys do. I really don't. Like my favorite kind of raiding is drunk raiding. Like where you go in and you have fun and you're relaxing, and if somebody's doing a thing to make the fight easier for them, cool, man. As long as you're having fun, I don't really care.
Yeah, and that's fine
You're
with
not
me
hurting
for
me. You're not affecting my
24-man
gameplay.
raid or regular raid. Like, that's not stuff where people are trying to do for the difficulty, the challenge.
Well, I can't answer to that because I don't do that content. So that's like, so you guys are trying to give me to give an opinion on something that I have no opinion on. But I'm like
That's
saying,
why I wanted to call in.
You can still have an opinion on stuff that you don't do.
I can.
Well, yeah, because Pete doesn't do it anyway.
Well, but he does Savage, and I feel like, like I don't do that kind of content where like I need it for the challenge and the difficulty, and I want to bash my head in the keyboard. I'm not really so much into that right now. So like
about audio cues, I
have no problem with that.
See the issue with that, just because for me it feels just like, because all the fights are scripted, pretty much. All the fights follow the same pattern. They'll do the same move, then do the next move, and do the next move.
Right.
For me, an audio cue is just the same as having someone in your static set aside to shout out the next attack.
So I actually didn't know these audio cues existed until you said this in chat. So how is this a third-party program that you use?
It's part of the parser. You can load up audio cues into it. So when the boss is doing a move, it says the move's going off or whatever.
But no, like, so you use it it's in game already, or it's
no, it's in the parser. Like,
oh, you use it through the parser. Okay. Also, by the way, thank you, Elevator Doors. One person agreed with me.
So, when I'm saying like it's an unfair advantage, I'm saying that's for the world first race, and I'm sure they do use the audio cues for this one. But let me explain that. It is an advantage because you don't have to have someone learn the audio callouts. Doing the audio callouts does take a little more skill, to do the callouts, to keep on doing your rotation. So that is an unfair advantage to a group that isn't using them.
Right.
So I contend that it is still an unfair advantage.
So then is Discord an unfair advantage for you to be talking to each other while you're doing the fight at that level?
No.
Why?
I mean, because they've said it. They've never said we're not okay with voice communication.
How is that different than like?
Because that's something that everyone has access to.
Everyone has access to the parser?
No, but they don't have access to these the show you AOE on the ground.
Oh, I'm just arguing the audio one now.
Yeah, the audio one.
We were chilling on the same page.
I'd say it's an advantage doing stuff on Discord, but is it unfair? I mean, I don't think so.
Well, but do you think the audio cues are?
Yeah, you're going through a whole other step. You're taking information from the game that you can't see, or
no,
you
audio cues.
Yeah, but that should be called out by a person, because that's a skill.
Okay. If that's how you, I think that the audio cues would help me a lot because I guess a weak point of mine is I am very dependent upon the callouts. Like I said, as a healer, I'm not always looking at the boss. I'm looking at, who I'm healing, who I'm keeping alive, and those callouts help let me know when I need to move, when I need to react, and I need to respond. And so as a healer, having that audio cue for me, because it's not a skill for me to be relying on the other person to have like, it's me being able to not be reliant upon your skill and me being able to I need callouts, and it's a way of being more self-sufficient with it.
Yeah.
Disco Scrub, the visual thing would help people with hearing problems, but at the same time, I don't use the audio on mine. I actually have the audio muted.
Oh, like the game
mine
audio?
Just has text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I actually use it because it makes a ding when there's a mechanic happening.
Yeah, that
ding just snaps me into place.
There's still way more visual cues for these fights anyways than audio cues. Yes, it would make it more helpful for hearing challenge players to see it all on the ground, but I think that's a little too much. And like Chili just said, half the time I play with the audio off just because I get tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again because I die a lot. So that is
till this tier, when I got my new laptop, all my previous tiers I played on PlayStation, and because I've been in Discord to chat with people, I've actually had no audio for the last two tiers.
Yeah,
So I say, first of all, Alora, for real, thank you so much for that sub. And KK says, he's like, I'm not sure how this works, but the audio cue is used when you know the name of the attack coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a skill in knowing the name of the attack, and you have to know the name of the attack in order to know how to respond to it. So that is a skill. I'm just saying. The video ones are definitely like different.
Yeah.
You know,
the audio ones just tell you the stainless skill. They don't tell you what
Chuck.
it does.
Chuckle says I had played my audio super low, so Pete doesn't say you can hear my audio. Such a whiny little tank over here.
What I would actually like to see with this cheat that this person's developed is I think this could be helpful to people who are colorblind, because that has been asked to Square Enix in the past. If they could make AoEs different colors.
Well, that's actually, again, I'm sorry. Again, I've been playing a lot of ESO, and it's been really fun to compare it. You can actually change the colors of them, and that helped me immensely because I'm used to the Final Fantasy colors, and so by changing those to like more what I'm used to, helped make the game easier for me to read and to play.
So I think if they were to make a version of this where you could just change the color and not see stuff that shouldn't be there, just to make it easier for people that are colorblind to see the AoE that's supposed to be there,
right?
That'd be a pretty cool helpful add-on for that.
Yeah. So I do think like it's kind of interesting, like the audio element, the discussion this kind of started in chat too, of like, is if you're listening to the ding, like the audio automated or an audio person. Like one person did say like you could pre-record yourself and play it back. That doesn't always work because you don't always DPS at the same rates. So you couldn't always do that. Your callouts pre-recorded might not work.
No, he always, at least with Savage, the fights will always do it at the same time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so at 2 minutes and 33, it will always do the same attack, and then at 2 minutes and 40, it'll do the same attack. Unless there's like a difference, like with Titan, there's a bit of RNG.
Okay. Yeah, that's him. Like, but as soon as there's a bit of RNG with something pre-recorded like that, the whole rest of the recording is off. That's what I meant. Yeah. It's like it'd be hard.
He only has one RNG for one mechanic, and then he does like a whole rotation. So it's kind of like
So yeah, and one person said even with some of the changes, that one it can still barely see some of the AoE markers. EOE, wow, making things up.
Yeah, they can be really hard to see sometimes. Like especially in Savage, I have to turn off some like player effects so I can even see AoE.
Especially you got a black mage in your group.
I turn off all your player effects instantly.
Oh yeah. I remember when I first learned that, I was like, "What? This is so much easier." Big deal. A little Greenleaf moment. All right. Anything else you guys want to add to this? I actually really enjoyed this part. I'm glad I didn't just agree with you, Pete, that like, yeah, that sucked, because it made everybody kind of discuss it.
Yeah,
talk about it more.
And like I said, I'm more concerned about this. I don't want it to become mainstream because I don't want it used in the world first race.
I agree with that fully.
Because it's not because they're not designing it with that in mind. So they're basing it on difficulty of you not using that.
Right.
And so I don't want that to make its way into the zeitgeist, into being used regularly by everyone.
Right. No, I agree with that. But like on a daily thing, like for me, it's like, okay, whatever.
All right. Anything to add to that, Chili?
Nope. I just wanted to call in a little bit and talk about what I felt.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for sharing your
Any
feelings.
shout outs you want to give?
Well, I'd like to shout to you guys. Go episode 201, 200 and butt.
200
also, remember, if you're in Gilgamesh, there's an FC event going on tomorrow at 9 p.m. GMT or 4 p.m. EST, I think it is, where people will be helping Shinta with different primal farms. And I think there's also something going on with Pete before that.
We're going to do a quick A4S run.
Yeah, A4S. So if you want to help with A4S,
and you're on Aether, send us a DM. Yeah. Try to get you in.
Slip in those DMs.
Also, Mushroom Radio will be streaming again Sunday with, I think we're back together again or something like that.
Cool.
Sunday at 1 a.m. again.
Nice.
My time. I don't know what time that'll be, American time.
You mean the
American
right time?
God.
Time zones are hard.
Math is not easy.
Thank you so much, Chili. Have a good rest of your probably day now. It's probably very early in the morning there.
Yeah.
It's 3 a.m.
Oof, honey.
Make sure you go subscribe to the Bye.
Thank you,
so much, Chili. There's a little bonus community roundup there for you.
Yeah.
But now it's time for the actual.
Oh, you didn't want me to talk about the thing before? Or you think I talked about that enough?
I forgot about that.
There's like a note before that.
So yes, Avi went to an ESO event on Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, the event was only on Thursday.
Okay, one-day event.
In Las Vegas. So I went, if you guys have heard me talk about Hyperpixie.
I was going to interview you.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. You didn't write that up. Go ahead.
So what was the main reason you went? I think it was definitely, even if you didn't play this game, the friendship that you made with Hyperpixie was enough to get you on the plane.
And I actually talked to her about that, because Hyperpixie is one of my best friends. One of like I have two, like she's the other one. Like I have two best friends. and we
Rank
never
'em.
met. And there's no ranking. She messaged me and asked if I would go, and she really wanted to. And I know she'd never traveled by herself. And I live an hour flight away from Vegas. So it was like, yes, I want to meet you. And yes, I want to make sure that you can experience this event and like have it be as amazing and as wonderful and feel as safe as you possibly can in order to do that. So it was so much fun. I'm so tired.
So you do really enjoy ESO, but I think even if you didn't enjoy it as much as you did, you still would have been there just to support a friend.
100%.
And let's just give people a scope of the venue. This is the same venue that we went to during the Final Fantasy Fan Fest after party. So this was the esports arena.
The HyperX arena.
In the Luxor.
Yes. So it was so funny. And I didn't realize it was the same venue until I was outside the line. I was like, I've been here before. That was really cool.
So this was sponsored by Bethesda.
Yes.
Because they make the game.
Yes.
Did you guys have it all to yourself? That whole thing?
The whole area was to ourselves.
Upstairs and downstairs?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't really know exactly how many people were in attendance, but I would say it was like about 100 people, maybe a bit more. It was very intimate. And the whole day before, we hung out with all of the different ESO, like it was a bunch of content creators and people we were friends with and people we just got to know. And the closest I can like relate it to for Final Fantasy XIV was it was like getting to go to a live with drink tickets, food tickets, and like little fun picture things to take together, but then also that you speak the same language as the dev team.
Yeah.
So like that was...
So I just wanted to get a visual of the scope. It's much smaller than like the main fan fest room.
And I'm not saying that because I want to say anything like negative about like the fact that they speak Japanese and I speak English, but when you meet one of them, you're like, I have all this stuff I want to say to you and you don't understand it, and I desperately want to say all of this. And so it was really fun to be like able to desperately say all this stuff and have them be like, that's so cool. Like that kind of interaction was really wonderful. It was, and what was really cool is that, so I went as a Final Fan, and I constantly talked about our podcast.
Yeah, so to give people who have been to the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest, the size of this place is maybe just the size of where they have like the little games set up for you to play at Fan Fest, like that little area. Yeah,
but so like when we went last time, Pete, the downstairs area was set up with like place for people to play. Mm-hmm. That was all seating, and then there was a big stage up front. And I forgot what I was gonna say because you interrupted me. What were we saying?
You were talking about the dev team, being able to meet them and talk to them.
Yes. Oh, I was talking about how they made me feel so welcome, like even the other ESO content creators. Because, I mean, I play a little bit of ESO with HyperPixie. I've actually probably been playing it for about a year now. But as you guys know, my schedule was so busy last year. So I would be lucky if I got to play once every 2 weeks with her and then playing Final Fantasy XIV. And now that my schedule's opened up, it's been really fun to play both these games. And so we'd go and people would be like, HyperPixie, I know you. And then they like, you must be Avi, because we talk about each other so much and we do stream together. So if anything, they'll hear my voice. And it was just really cool to be embraced and like welcomed and not be like, and this is the weird Final Fantasy chick who just like tagged along. Like, no, it was really cool. And I don't know, it was so much fun. So much fun.
I think that's something that it had in common with Final Fantasy Fan Fest, is both meeting everyone was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And so as in terms of what they actually previewed from the content that they are putting out, did they have a trailer?
They had a trailer. It was really cool. It was really, really great, actually. And they are revamping the vampire line, which is a really cool element to Skyrim. Or like we're going to Skyrim, which is awesome. I'm actually wearing my Skyrim shirt I got there. I played a lot of Skyrim back in the day, so like it's kind of like nostalgia element. So it's almost a little bit how Final Fantasy brings in that nostalgia, but now I'm getting like ESO with the nostalgia, and that's just kind of cool to get that from like kind of similarity between the two games. But like the vampire line is something I always thought was really cool in Skyrim, but in ESO it was kind of boring. Like it was currently like you get a passive ability and it's like whatever, you get white skin. They've making it really cool, and it's just it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. And they added something where it's like more gatherer related, which I could see a lot of people like who like to gather and learn more about lore, stuff like that. It seemed like more. And
the whole event itself was a few hours.
It was like 4 hours, I think, 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, but they had like drink tickets, food tickets. We each got a bag that had some goodies in it. We actually got like a poster that the entire dev team signed, and they gave everyone that. It was really fun.
So yeah, this sounds familiar to what I've heard about some of the smaller gatherings that the dev team has done in Japan.
Yeah.
So I think that's, unfortunately, since we're so far away, we don't really get those here in the States. We get like the big thing once every 2 years.
Yeah.
And it'd be awesome if we could get something a little more intimate like that.
It really would.
But there's also probably such huge demand that they said that the venue that they had in Las Vegas last time is too small this time, and they need an even bigger one.
Well, and a difference too is like the event I went to, we didn't buy tickets for. We just like got on a list to get in, and we actually didn't get into the event. We were waitlisted until the morning of, like the morning before.
Yeah, and like I kind of I get a lot of advertisements for that game because of everyone on Twitter. And I didn't even see previews for this until like the week of. It's not like FanFest where tickets were selling out months in advance.
Well, this one actually, though, it was not very long before it was waitlist. Like it actually got to capacity really fast. So it was like it did actually go
It
pretty
didn't seem
fast.
like something that they were like trying to sell tickets. I mean, like you said, it was free.
It was very intimate. Yeah, it was like, if you can come here and be part of this with us, that would be really cool. If you can't, well, it's going to be streamed. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that they did do as well, just like Final Fantasy. They streamed the event.
Yep.
I take it
preview like the collector's edition, like what you get with that. Very, very live lettery. Like they don't show like how we get armor previews and stuff like that. They didn't do they don't do that kind of stuff, but it's like kind of like the big trailer thing, and then they did a lot of talking about how things are going to be different.
Yeah, I would imagine when you only have, 3 or 4 hours, you're going to pack as much like big trailery stuff. And then, kind of like Yoshi P's keynote at the beginning of FanFest, you're going to get like that sort of
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really cool. I do think the one fun thing about MMOs is that like out in the real world, when you run across anybody that plays a game that's an MMO, even if it's not your MMO, there's like a kindred element to it because it's like a similar mindset. And so I know like at my last job, I had a coworker who he's still like super World of Warcraft. And we would talk about our individual games together because it's this wonderful feeling when you actually get to see somebody who gets the world and gets why you play it and why you do it. And you have to kind of translate for each other. But it's really a wonderful experience. So even if you can go to like an event like this for a game you don't play or you're interested in playing, I think you would have a lot of fun.
And one thing that I found amusing was you finally met some other people other than me that had played Dark Age of Camelot.
It was hilarious. Oh my gosh. I actually I haven't even watched the videos. I videotaped them and I was like, you need to talk to Pete about this because they're like, yeah, like, oh yeah, Daok. And I'm like, what? I learned his acronym, guys. Like, yeah, I was like, it's not a video game that he made up. There are other people who really loved it too.
And that does make sense because one of the main guys from Dark Age is one of the lead designers for Elder Scrolls.
So it was really cute. We just had some hot off the press from the Real Hot Chili Pepper. He just got an email from Square Enix that if you pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII on Square Enix Store, they will be charged on February 28th.
And it's delayed.
Yeah, which is, hey, you know what? So is Cyberpunk 2077. Is that right? 2077? I feel like, yeah.
I would say 2077.
77. I was like, something about it sounded wrong. I was like, what am I saying that's wrong? All right. So yeah, I think that's everything I'll share because I know like you guys aren't here.
So yeah, since it was such a short event, I don't know if there's anything really that Final Fantasy could take from that event to add into FanFest because
it's not an add into FanFest.
It's a pretty different.
It would just be cool to for them to do more small.
Yeah, the
events.
small intimate nature of it
in different countries
would be hard to implement at a FanFest type thing.
Yeah. So like that would be cool to have something like that.
I think it would be cool though if they had like actual set times to maybe take a picture with a developer on the team or something like that. Because otherwise it's just like hope you meet them outside somewhere. Like
yeah, and then you have like 5 seconds with them, and this was like we met the dev team actually at the airport because we happened to be friends with people who were going to be on stage, and then they were just there and Pixie's highlight of the night I know. So they had this really cool like Nordic helmet on the stage that ended up being a giveaway. and she had commented to me that she really wanted to wear the helmet. Like she wanted to go on stage and steal the helmet and wear it. And then I asked essentially the equivalent of Yoshi P. I told him that if he was going to put that on anybody, he should put it on Hyperpixie's head. And he climbed up on stage, immediately grabbed it, put it on her head, and took a picture. And she was shaking. She was so excited. It was the audience gasped. Everyone was just like, "Oh, she's gonna wear the helmet!" It was so wonderful. So I don't know. It was just cool to have that kind of an experience.
Yeah, and I just do know there's a lot of people in the community that would love to get an autograph or have a picture with Yoshi P. So even if they did a random lottery drawing to go to a limited signing,
that would be cool. Or they did panels and stuff.
That way you don't, you can't take up all his time. There's just too many people to have a conversation. But get a poster signed, get a plushie signed or something like that. I think that'd be something very cool if they could do in FanFest. And I don't think that's crazy.
They did do raffle items actually. And I think that would be with the autograph things, that might be something that would be cool for Final Fantasy to implement. Even if you couldn't go and meet them and do that, if they raffled off different signed items.
Yeah.
That would actually be really easy for them to do and really exciting for people.
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm sure it's such a pain in the ass to plan something when you're in a whole different country.
Yeah.
And so I'm very thankful for whatever they do bring. So I know it's hard for them. There were maybe 100 people at that. There's thousands at this one.
Right.
We can't all get a signed poster.
Nope. That's definitely the difference. So, but it was really cool. But I think, with the question you asked of what would I like to see them take from that, it would be that. And then they also did, which they've done at Comic-Con, they did this picture, the live picture where it's 6 cameras, and so it kind of moves, and they also had snow falling added to it, and I guess they do that with
I think you could do that on the Fat Chocobo last time.
But maybe do multiple picture spots since the line was so long, and that was just a basic picture. The fact that they did the moving picture was really, really cool. So.
I think it was the moving one at the last one.
Oh, was it? Okay.
We just didn't do it, but I saw multiple
that
cameras
line was so
going
long.
around.
Yeah, I was oof. So that's right. All right.
Well, it sounded like a really good time, and I know we have a lot of ESO players that listen to the show as well.
Which, by the way, and I'm going to throw this out there, as we're having our comeback event, I did just see on Twitter that ESO is having a free ESO Plus trial. I'm just gonna throw this out there in case you guys do want to give the game at. So it's the ESO Plus trial, begins today, Friday, January 17th, and will run until Thursday the 23rd. So you're gonna get access to see if ESO Plus is something you want to do. So be sure to check that out.
Chili has a Yoshi P story. He was able to bro fist him. He was sitting down recording a podcast just outside the event, put his fist out for a bump, and walked off.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
All right, so now it's time for the actual community roundup, partner. And this one is for all you people like Susan Sprinkle out there who got her first medium house.
Ooh, that's the dream.
It's called HGXIV. And you can also visit them at twitch.tv/HGXIV. It's a podcast all about the true endgame of Final Fantasy XIV, housing.
Also, I have to say, I love the name of this of you guys' podcast. It's so freaking perfect. As soon as I saw it, I was like, damn, that's good.
And you can follow them at HGXIV on Twitter as well. And you can they have YouTube. You can watch all their videos that they have for decorating your house. And they actually do a podcast discussing it all as well.
Yeah, it's really cool, and tutorials and stuff. I actually have something that's not community content related, but this is something I saw on Facebook, and it was a short little story that I actually wanted to share for Final Fantasy. Is that okay? I didn't tell you about this. I meant to.
I don't know. Is it good?
It's really sweet.
Is it making the show better?
I want to share it. So it's a little paragraph I'm going to read you guys. So back when I first started playing the game, I didn't know jack shit. There was a guy in my FC named Beer30, and every day after work, the second I logged on, I'd get an invite from him. He was always doing some shit, farming bird mounts, roulettes, etc. We'd run maps every Sunday because he would organize it. He taught me everything he knew, made sure I knew to level mining and botany at the same time, made sure I knew to level all my crafters at the same time, helped me out with crafting rotations, and helped me get my culinary best in slot melded so I could capitalize on the Shakusuka market, which made me enough gil to finish all my other overmelds, helped me clear 09S even though he had to carry me, long Discord conversations till 2 or 3 in the morning. He'd have the whole group laughing our asses off. Tons of hilarious inside jokes. One day, out of nowhere, he announced he was quitting the game when his sub was up. Our group of friends didn't really believe him because he played so much we didn't actually think he'd leave. And if he did, he'd be back a week later. But sure enough, 2 weeks later, he gave me a stack of 99 materia, mailed out several million gil to a bunch of our friends, and he was gone, never to return. We ran maps without him a few times, but it was never the same. Our little group of 10 people had a giant hole in it. Our circle eventually fell apart, and now I'm the only one who still plays, and it's sad. Make sure you appreciate your friends in the game. Shout out to Beer 30 on Diablos, wherever you are. You were the glue that held us together, and when you left, we fell apart. I'll never forget you.
Bye, Felicia.
I'm like choked up about this, and you're a jerk. Like, I thought that was really, really sweet, and I just like the idea of make sure that you appreciate the people that you play with, because it doesn't mean they're all going to be playing it forever. And
definitely, especially if you are in a smaller FC where everyone is really close. As soon as like one person leaves, you just lost 10-15% of the people you play with.
Yep, and that might be the glue.
A big impact.
Yeah,
and it like, especially if it was like closer to one person, and then that one person doesn't feel like logging in as much,
right,
and then it's a snowball effect, and it sucks when one of your best friend leaves.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone has had that happen. Someone they really enjoy playing doesn't play as much anymore, or but luckily for me, I guess I've played enough that like even those people eventually come back. And I know like I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, and I know I'll eventually come back. Like it's just needs to be fresh
and
again.
That's kind of how Yoshi P has chosen to set up Final Fantasy XIV, where it's a game where you take a break and come back.
Yep. Work to game made me feel a lot better, Brian,
I think it's
about that too.
It's a risky proposition to assume people are going to be coming back, but it's their game, not mine.
Dude, it won't.
All right, we have a little bit of Twitter reaction this week.
Hey,
actually,
wait, Pete, did that make the podcast better? Was that an okay thing for me to do?
We'll see. See if we get any feedback. I don't know. Big thank you again to everyone who tweeted out congratulations for our 200th episode. There were way too many to read all on stream today, but thank you so much. We really appreciate them. It makes our hearts very warm.
You guys are amazing. So, we've got 3 tweets that were actually all in response to one tweet. Words are hard, you guys. But like the people who shared this and who we were grouped with made me feel so incredible. So Roca, who is at EASY Roca, ROCA, tweeted out, "Friends, which FFXIV content creators would you recommend me and other new players follow to learn more about the game and its community?" And at Ace Connecty says, "At Spoofy, her community is very fun and welcoming. She is helpful and willing to answer questions related to the game. Also check out MTQ Capture, and she heals I Tank." So thank you, Ace.
And then our friend Mioni said, "Easily at Zepla, XEPLA, if you want to see the funniest side of the game. If you get through a single video without cracking a smile, then you might just be a robot. At Work to Game for regular discussions on topics not many people touch, and at She Heals I Tank for new player advice for sure."
So like literally like that tweet, by the way, that was like one of my favorite. Like, so I love Mioni's content. I love Zepla's content. I love Work to Games. Like, so they are some of my favorite content creators for 14. And to be like included in that was like, oh my God, that's really cool. Like, thank you. So that was awesome. And Mars Blood actually also responded with, she tagged a bunch of people, including us, Work to Game, Mioni, Aetherite Radio, Aetherflow Media, GT, FFXIV, Phoenix Down, Wondrous Tales, and Speakers XIV. That's one I'm not familiar with actually yet. We need to check that one out. She says, mostly podcasts, but still great nerds and geeks to watch and listen to.
And the Zero Una says, "Woo, you guys are awesome. Can't wait to see the podcast and FC, what the podcast and FC is going to be like this year. Going to be a lot of cool stuffing in Final Fantasy 2020. Damn right there is."
And I said I wasn't going to read a congratulations 200 one, but this one was cute afterwards. This is from Michael J. Oh, I'm going to butcher your last name. So I'm just going to say at MJM Blues 248. That's way easier. "Congratulations on 200 episodes. I'm a new listener and have been along for the ride for at least 15 of those episodes, and I'm looking forward to more. Final Fantasy 14 is great, but you guys make it even better." That was super sweet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
MJM Blues.
All right, Pete, is there anything else you wanted to ask before I
That's
go into
all
my
I
outro?
got.
All right. That is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. Be sure to hit that follow button so you'll know the next time we will be going live. And I want to say a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, and the app that's going to come out tomorrow that's going to be amazing and blow them all out of the water. But remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or review. And if you don't know why we say shit, it's our acronym, guys. So remember,
I noticed that you will tell people like we're the shit podcast without even telling them like the name of the podcast, and they just don't get it.
Yeah, sorry. So, but more importantly, tell a friend to check us out, especially if they're new to the game, because as Mione said, that's what we're really good at. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.